My gut says that Lord of the Rings was a Burger King license, but
I think it was too, but it was like $10, and it's lasted me 20 years. And like there was a whole collection, and I just have the one.
Oh, you don't have all of them. That's sad. Maybe something to eBay at one point.
if only you had one glass to rule them all.
They used to have a foamy thing on the bottom with a light, so it would like light up whatever you were drinking. They don't last, but the glass, it's quality shit.
Solid glass, bud.
Solid.
Solid, bud. Well, hello, welcome to the Sword Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. We are joined by Val and the Falcon today on the Kind of 40K. Now we've got a name now. It's called the Kind of 40K Show.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a 40K show.
Yeah, we're branded, I think.
The 40K adjacent show.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, there was a lot of storyboarded on my whiteboard, but unfortunately it didn't make the cut. But I did do it in a PowerPoint presentation to myself, a la the Bush administration, Val. So
A lot of wingdings, a lot of clip art.
Banners in the background in particular.
Double. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the show. As you can see, I've got these two incredibly special and brilliant guests on today. It's Stream Streak Day 57. That's right. We're crushing
Times
this.
57.
Yeah,
Passenger 57. Starring
great-
Wesley Snipes.
Oh my
Great
God.
film from
Deep
the Bush
cuts.
administration.
Passenger 57 is deep Clinton administration, bud.
Oh, is it,
I'm
bud?
pretty sure they played that at his second inauguration.
What, in the background? Just was Wesley Snipes there at the second inauguration?
He was.
we were we were talking about Dave Chappelle's show before we went on the air. Maybe we were on the air. I don't know. But it just reminded me of one of the best quotes from the Rick James sketch, which is, "You see, this is long before Wesley Snipes. We were the blackest men in Hollywood." And I just think that's one of the funniest lines of all time. Also, Wesley Snipes went to jail for tax evasion.
He
Yes,
did.
And it was covered in what was that movie with Sylvester Stallone? They made a joke about it.
The baby boomer action hero movie.
Yeah, the second one, the sequel. He was in it.
Expendables 2.
Expendables 2. Yeah, they did a whole
More
joke
expendable.
around that. Wesley Snipes also hilarious in What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. If people aren't watching that, it's A1. Loving it.
What we
not
do in the
know that.
shadows, eh? I feel
Is
like
it as
that's
good as-
advertised on a podcast I listen to somewhere.
I don't know. I love it. One of my favorite shows on TV. Anyway,
Is it Peep Show? Have you watched any Peep Show yet, Pete?
I have watched the 700 clips you've sent me. It
was one clip, Pete.
It felt like 7. There was so many. It was so long. It was like an entire episode.
It was
I feel
2
like we
minutes. It
pirated
was
something.
2 minutes long. Dear God.
Literally one show, Pete.
So, welcome everyone who's joined us live on the show. Wargaming Dad DeBolt, sorry again. MJ Pegasus says that Valor's got the Dr. Disrespect look going on, which I agree with.
What's that?
That's a too old man of a that's too young a reference for Val.
Okay, there's a man
Was
online.
that featured during the Reagan administration? Or was this maybe that HW Twilight Zone?
around there. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know.
What was the reference? Are you afraid of the dark?
There's a man on Twitch called Dr. Disrespect who plays a very aggressive character that he plays. He plays games on Twitch, and that's his kind of character. He wears glasses, big mustache, is disrespectful as the name suggests. I don't know if he's a doctor of disrespect or a disrespectful. I don't know, like how it
Disrespectful
works.
doctor.
Yeah.
That sounds like a TLC show.
Oh my God, I love TLC the band.
Nope.
Oh.
TLC the terrible show. Oh man, this guy's got a lot harder of an edge.
You googling him? Yeah, he's
Yeah. He's got a great wig. He's got like an Aussie Man Reviews wig.
Yeah, mostly famous outside of Twitch for cheating on his wife and getting shot during a Twitch stream, or getting shot at during a Twitch stream.
Wow.
But on Twitch, super popular. People love them.
Really popular. I guess you don't even know about the doxing, the Twitch thing, where people send like stuff around your house, Val. That's not something you're aware of.
Well, I know. Like there's a thing called getting swatted, which is fucked.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't do that, guys.
Yeah, please don't.
Like, so there's 8 people in our chat. Don't call a tactical squad to come break my door down.
Well, all they'll see is what looks like to be the commander-in-chief, to be honest. They'll be like, sorry, Sarge, we didn't know you were in it. With that mustache, that couldn't be any... Anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Stal Erner says, I'm into the Games Workshop hobby, but don't like 40k. They told me this is the channel for me. Is that correct?
God bless you, whoever you are.
Yeah, if you like Warhammer adjacent things.
If you like people who like Warhammer,
yeah,
talking about other things.
This is the show for you.
If you like the Bush administration, man, we've got a show for you.
You don't want to get me started, but you just got me started.
So can I ask how you've both been? Or either one, whoever wants to start. But how have you both been since we last saw you last week?
Well, I mean, Total War. I used to believe in the legalization of all drugs, but I think Total War should be taken off that list. It's breaking this family down.
A family of 2, soon to be 3. Have you killed that damn Ikit Claw?
Ikit Claw. I've actually moved on. I'm now on a campaign starring the Réponse de Mayonnaise. And she is she is fantastic. Oh fuck. She's wonderful and just a delight to spend time with and talk to, learn about, travel the world with, specifically the Northern Africa of Warhammer, which is
Lustria?
where the Tomb Kings live.
Oh, not Lustria.
Nope.
No, that would be South America, Pete. Learn your cultural tropes, please.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Geographic association.
I'll do my best.
Although North America on that Warhammer map, what's there? It's just like a wasteland, isn't it? It's like a fiery waste where dark elves live.
Yeah, Nagarond or something. Yeah,
that's funny. Canada is just filled by rapey elves.
Well, ish. They got rapey later. Like, at this time, they were more just murdery.
Okay. And slavey.
Yeah.
They're quite slavey.
And slavey. They like slaves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, slave.
Much like us.
I thought you said sleepy. I'm like, that's not very exciting.
A little sleepy too.
Slaving's hard.
Sleepy,
you end up very sleepy afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. The one thing I'll say about Total Warhammer 2 is the new patch with Grom the Paunch. Grom the Paunch is the second greatest orc hero of all time from the old days, the old world, and I love him, and I'm so glad they put him in the game. Second greatest hero of all time. And the Grimgor Ironhide is obviously the best, because that's
Did you watch that video where he fights like a series of
yes, it got recommended to
place him up against a bunch of different of the heroes, and he just wrecks them all. It's great. I was emotionally invested by the end of that. Right?
Because the monster ones just like knock him over and over.
Well, he I don't know. He killed I don't know the names of any of these things. He killed
Durthu. He killed Durthu, but he couldn't kill what's his face, the dragon guy, whose name I forget.
Everything. No, he won it all.
Oh, that you're thinking of. You watched a different video. There's a newer one, but he used to be a meme. He used to be a meme because he just killed everybody.
No, this is brand new, dude. I watched this last night, man.
I watched it last night. I think we watched different videos.
Was it Zerkovich? Was it Grimgor Ironhide beating on fools?
Yes, it was Grimgor Ironhide, except the dragon dude kicked the crap out of him because he just knocks him over and over again. But anyway, Grimgor in the lore is the greatest thing.
I am not wrong about this.
I went on a big rant about how amazing he is recently, and how they retconned how amazing he was because of GW having an agenda. It made me so sad.
Oh,
an anti-orc agenda.
Yes, they had a pro-chaos anti-orc agenda. To go into the history of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, back in the day, when they did the 40K Black Crusade, 13th Black Crusade campaign, they also did the Storm of Chaos campaign for Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and they were really pushing new Chaos rules. So they had this whole thing where everybody got special rules for a campaign you could run in your stores, and you could send the results in, and based on the results, they were going to tell a story, and it was going to be awesome. The story was awesome, except for the fact that the Chaos kept losing everything. So they had to kind of like shoehorn all this extra cool stuff they wanted to do into a story about like Chaos just getting their ass kicked over and over and over again because the Chaos rules were not good, but basically everybody else's were. Anyway,
so this is like the opposite of what happened in the 40K version of this campaign.
Yeah, so the lore was like over and over again, like Deus Ex Machina shit happening for Chaos to somehow win all these battles that they were like losing in the campaign, and then they eventually just retconned the whole thing because it was terrible. Like they did the same thing with 40K on the other side, where they just ignored the fact that Chaos was winning because that was not the agenda they wanted.
That's what Dude Day said in the chat. They just completely ignored it by a lot, apparently.
Yeah.
Has anyone noticed though that they did ignore it at the time, but then the entire fucking trope now is just Chaos winning? Like they went back and did what that campaign result was.
Yeah, they changed their tune, but for fantasy, they wanted Archaon to win. Like they were like, this will be our first end times. It's gonna be great, and Archaon just kept getting smashed. Anyway, my favorite part of the lore, Grimgor Ironhide. They introduce him. He starts destroying everything, and all of his lore is he keeps going to these major castles of like big heroes, killing like everybody, but never taking over anything because he doesn't want to. And all of the like the Skaven, the dwarves, everyone's like, he's coming to steal our shit, and he's not. He just wants to like beat up. He wants to be the best, so he just wants to fight their champions. And so he like stands at the gates of this dwarven stronghold, kills hundreds and hundreds of dwarves to the point where the dwarves are like, shit, he's just gonna win. Get behind the gates. They get behind the gates. He sits there for like an hour and is like, well, they're not sending anybody else out, and leaves. And then he does it to the Skaven, and then he shows up at I think he loses to Crom, the Conqueror, who's like a Chaos character.
Very cromulent.
But he wins. It's just the rest of his army runs away. So that's why he decides he never wants goblins in his army anymore. There's a whole thing. The final battle is Archaon versus the Empire. Archaon strikes down all of the Empire's heroes in a crazy battle. It looks like he's about to finally kill Karl Franz and Luther Huss. And then out of nowhere, Grimgor walks in and headbutts Archaon almost to death.
No.
While yelling, I am the best. In the middle of a giant pitched battle, this one orc just wanders in. No one stops him. I don't know if he could, but he just headbutts Archaon literally almost to death. And that's how the whole thing ends.
It's amazing. It's almost like that entire story was made up. But it was so real. So it's like I feel like I was there.
I was emotionally invested. I was like, what then? Like, what then?
This is what. And then he yells, Grimgor is the best, and walks away. And no one stops him.
We started this tangent on Grom the Paunch. Yes. And my eyes aren't really open, so that's why
we actually started on how are you both? I just want you to know that.
Well, we're second best here.
Give us
he ate a troll and got an eating disorder.
Well, that's his story. Listen to me.
Yep.
All I was going to say was that the model, Ground the Punch, predates the Brian Nelson orc aesthetic. And I find it interesting that Creative Assembly did not update that model. They just copied the old, like, weird, not as good aesthetic from the original actual model, as opposed to updating the look. That was it. That was all I wanted to say.
Well, what I want to say is Grom the Paunch is highly representative of a part of our world we don't talk about, and that is people with eating disorders. He ate a troll, gained its regenerative powers.
The corona weight. The corona weight, I'm calling it now. Like, legitimately, this is the thing I was thinking about. Everyone in the world has got this right in their back pocket now. Everyone comes out of quarantine, and it didn't matter if you went in husky or you didn't. You can come out of quarantine, you'd be like, look, this is all quarantine weight. I'm going to start getting it off. Yeah, like it's a really nice reset for everyone. You'll be like, no, you were like that before. But like, no, I was much thinner. You just don't remember. It's been a long time. I'm going to reset this. I think is a thing. But I just like
I like that your plan is just keep eating until this ends, and then you can get it together. Don't like start doing push-ups or something. It would be crazy.
I don't want people to be too I don't want people to push themselves too hard in these trying times if they don't need to. I want people to be.
We're going to be at home midday watching Twitch, so let's not get them too ambitious.
Day drinking, that's what I want to see. I know. So you're playing Total War, and you're excited, Pete, about Grom the Paunch. Does that mean then that you guys have been, with any vested interest, keeping track of the old world news? Because we actually had some old world news yesterday. If you guys saw.
What?
Nope.
No, I didn't see. I'm talking directly into my mic off screen. I'm so excited. Tell me more, Rob.
Okay, well, they have announced some of the Kislev stuff, specifically, if you want to go Google it, but armored ice bears, yes. Are going to be
models.
They showed models. They showed early concept drawings.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, we got some drawings.
There are some
going
drawings.
there right now.
Please do.
There's a
I would
bear
like to...
with the antler horns. That's great.
I'm into it already. Keep describing it to me. That's how my brain works.
Well, it's caused some mild contention in the fantasy community, which is quite fun. Some of the old hats decrying it because they might have to buy some new models. Because, of course, they thought that they were going to create the old world with the old models that everyone had from 20 years ago.
Do you think they immediately realized, oh, yeah, that's why we blew the whole thing up? These guys.
These guys. So,
man.
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I love bears. Of all types. Of all types.
Right.
All types.
So, yes, I'm into this. Oh man,
it's quite interesting. There's actually there's a weird parallel because I don't know if you keep up with League of Legends, but Volibear also got a rework on his main team.
Yes.
For Ice Bears, it's been a week. Like, it's been a good week for ice bears up and down the country. Probably not actual real-life ice bears because of climate change.
Nope,
but
they're having tough times.
They have a bad time. I'm waiting for them to come down here soon.
Really? Do you think that they're close to being where you are?
Well, like, if I drive about an hour north on the highway, there's signs. Like, that's where that starts, right? So there's all sorts of, like, beware of polar bear signs about an hour north of Maine. That's where
polar bears hang out by lakes? They're aquatic, but can Great Slave Lake sustain a polar bear?
I just work here, man. Listen, they sent me to the wall 3 years ago. I donned the black, and like I've been learning their culture. All I know is there's signs that say "Beware of polar bears" starting about an hour north of me. I've not seen one. I've seen regular bears. They come right into town. We get notices all the time. Same
like
with
black
wolves.
bears,
black bears and wolves and brown bears. The wolves are I'm a little more scared of. I've definitely been too close to wolves a couple times in my life since I moved here. But anyway, we are way off track.
We're close. If you want to go further off track,
the pro-wolf liberal agenda has repeatedly told me that except are dangerous to humans, and that that's the thing.
Yeah, except when you see one, then you're like, holy shoot, sugar butt. Holy, just farts.
That's bigger than a coyote.
I don't like that. Have you thought about
also, who thinks bears are the scariest of all the animals? I mean, that's not even close to true.
Val, watch the video, What If There's Bears on YouTube. Look it up.
Okay.
Oh, is this another meme I don't get?
It's probably something that's way too niche for you, but you should watch it.
I mean, I'm into some niche stuff, if you know what I mean.
Well, talking about niche stuff, my friend Mark, who is gay as the day is long.
Can we do a supercut of the most awkward Honest Wargamer transitions and just That's the top of the list.
I'm happy with that. Anyway, we were wargaming Warhammer World once, which to him is the equivalent of hitting a bar to check out the chicks. And anyway, so
Yeah.
he saw a young man down the road, and he was like, "Oh, he looks lovely." And I was like, "Okay, what sort of the gay is he?" And then he went on to tell me that there isn't obviously bears. I was like, "Do you like bears? You know, older men, very hairy, like quite husky." And he was like, "No, I'm more of an otter man, which are
Otter.
Thank you.
Waxy.
Didn't know. So it's cub, otter. Now I might be getting this wrong because I'm remember, but cub, otter, bear. And otter is kind of younger, but still like there's still some fuzz, if that makes sense. And so there you go. They're my favorite kind of bears.
I've always
I'd
thought
throw
I
that in there.
I've never really had age associated with bear in my mind. Bear was just always just more of a burly gay guy,
Potentially.
like Pete maybe.
I know where you're going. I know where you were going.
I probably also would fit into the bear category. Maybe I'm not hairy enough.
Not there yet. Someday.
Anyway,
so you've enjoyed
appropriating a culture that.
So you didn't move away. You didn't actually kill Ikit Claw because you did really well about getting away from the fact that you didn't kill him.
Oh, right. Well, no, as I described in the previous podcast, you just one of the times I played that campaign, he, instead of attacking me, asked for a peace treaty. I was like, yeah. And he vanished into the jungles of Lustria. I never saw him again.
Can't believe you trusted.
I
a
know.
rat
Why
man.
you trusted a Skaven? That's such a mistake.
Didn't really have a choice in the matter, guys. He had rattling guns, which, by the way, is just a clever way of saying magic-based Gatling gun.
Yeah, it's true. They didn't. There wasn't a lot of imagination with that one.
No. Go on. Sorry.
No. Continue.
I was just going to
Rob. This
ask
is
how
your
you.
show.
I was going to ask how you'd been this week.
Amazing.
Oh,
Amazing.
nice.
Living my life, stuck in my home with 3 children. I've gone perfectly sane. I've full circled, Rob. It started good, got mediocre, amazing again. Amazing.
I'm sorry.
Someone stole my son's birthday gift off my porch.
That's messed up.
Oh,
I
that
was
is
so
messed up.
happy. Well, I blame Pure later.
Did you just like go to the other person who lives in your town and be like, hey, give me back the
I
package?
did. I was like, hey, you, buddy. I went to the pawn shop, which had nothing except my package in it.
They didn't even unwrap it. They just left it in the box.
It still said
like
Pure later on it. Had the
Amazon
tag.
package
Yeah,
in
just-
stock.
Anyway. No, but things have been good. Things have been great. I've been following a lot of this new 40K news pretty closely for once since the quarantine started. Loving what I'm seeing. Did you guys talk about the Silent King stuff? Because
No,
that is
not yet.
blowing my mind.
Not yet. I would like.
I'm
I'd
not
like to.
actually sure when the show started or if it started. So
That's my new thing. I also you won't know when it ends, so watch out there.
right.
I would actually, Pete, can I just mirror that? Because sometimes the community articles I can be a bit like take them or leave them, but I have been just like it's been so exciting to have some news plugged into the jet stream of the reality that we live in, especially as we can't game. So just this seems to be one of the ways that I can express the hobby in looking at this stuff, and it's all super hype. I would also say that the Silent King, which you're about to talk about, from a video perspective, whoever put that video together reminds me of the videos that my friend Laura did a lot of the original kind of cartoon-esque trailer videos to the Gene Stealer Colts one, Magnus one, things like that, which I thought were
those are good.
I thought those were particularly brilliant. I felt like the quality has dropped off recently. So big kudos to whoever did the Silent King video, because I actually thought it was paced really well. It was edited really well. I really liked it, and like got me tingling. And I don't like Necrons at all, like in any.
And Necrons to me have always been the most confusing Warhammer franchise from the perspective of why do you like this? So what is the Silent King? Because I have a Necron nerd friend who
Is it Sebastian?
yes.
Yeah.
who I often question why. And like, if you knew Sebastian, it would make sense, but I still don't understand it. So what is the Silent King, and why Necrons?
So Silent King is like the emperor of the Necrons. That's like, he's like their version of the emperor. And they tease him. They've been teasing him since like 5th edition or whatever. They got their reboot when they decided that Necrons weren't what they were.
Yeah, now
they
they're
wanted
Tomb
to
Kings.
go. Yeah, now they're Space Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
So they've teased him a few times in different books. He meets Dante at one point, and he's got a golden mask on. During the Psychic Awakening, the only cool parts, I would say, of the Psychic Awakening lore, because it's been total, utter garbage from a story perspective, have been like the little excerpts they do with like the Vox transmissions. They've done a few of them teasing the Silent King, like with the Blood Angels and with like an astropath being murdered by Inquisitioners, or I don't know. I just work here, and
You get paid?
so now it seems like they're bringing him out. Maybe they're not. Maybe he's not going to get a model. Maybe it'll just be a fluff piece. But it sounds like we're actually getting the Silent King, who's supposed to be like the biggest, baddest ass Necron there is. Like, he's the father of the Necrons. He's the guy that was like
he destroyed.
So
the
this
Catan.
is like a Primarch adjacent release.
oh
No,
yeah,
it's like an Emperor adjacent release.
yeah, it's like he's the craziest thing that the Necrons have. In the Necron lore, they, just like they do with everybody, they're like, you think these guys are super bad and they're gonna wreck your shit, but like the worst of them haven't even woken up yet.
Right.
And the Silent King is like the alpha, and he's been somewhere doing his own thing, playing Tetris in like the Outer Dark, and now he's had his nachos. He's coming back, and he's gonna show like
He drank deeply from the Lord of the Rings Burger King cup.
He did. He had a little bit of. He did the do, as they used to say, and now he's here.
Yeah, and he put himself into hibernation because like he was the person directly responsible for the transition of the Necrontyr into what we see them as today. So that's his responsibility, and therefore, as a punishment, he was the one who said, "Everyone go to sleep, everyone hibernate," and then he himself hibernated for 60 million years as penance, as a like, "I'm sorry about this, boy," which is like just a really easy like. If you do a crappy job as the boss, you don't then give yourself a holiday, right?
Actually, right? This reminds me of one time when I was in high school watching football at my friend's house on a futon, and Doug Flutie dropped back and he threw this pass, and it was really exciting, and we all went, "Oh!" because he missed. And when I did that, my grandiose butt broke the futon, and like it was obvious that I had broken the futon with my butt. And then I suggested to my friend, why don't you take naps? And then I sort of went on the ground and lied down and tried to like grab all the futon bits. And the funny thing is that he also was like, "Yeah." And he lied down on the ground like 2 minutes later. He was like, "Why are we taking naps?" But by then I had already tried to cover up that I'd broken the futon with my butt.
Good. Such is life. That is a perfect like side to side for accidentally transferring your life force into a bunch of metallic robots and never being able to feel again for your entire civilization.
That's all.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Nailed
basically
it.
The same thing. You should write for GW. You'd put out better stuff than everything since Vigilus by far.
Wow. The Psychic Awakening stuff is awful, Pete. Come on.
The story has been terrible.
Oh.
Rules have been like 90% good. Lore has been what is happening. What is actually happening?
Who is in charge of this? I actually know. That's the unfortunate part.
Well, tell them. If you tell them. Say, there's this guy in Canada. He thinks what you've done is rubbish, and get your shit together.
Well, I've shared this to my Facebook, and hopefully he's on my friend list, so we'll see if that works out.
Do it.
Val's gone. His video's gone. Maybe he's having a nap on a futon. We'll find out where he is.
I think he broke himself. He broke himself with the futon story.
With the futon story. Well, yeah. So the return of the Silent King. It's interesting because obviously that means obviously the Psychic Awakening for Necrons. Do you think that how are Necrons generally faring at the minute, game wise anyway, and do they really need this boost? Yeah.
So Necrons, since their Codex release, every Codex release so far, I've been really optimistic for people, other than Grey Knights and Necrons. When Grey Knights came out, I was like, I'm really sorry to everybody. Oh, he fixed it.
He's back
because it was a hot pile of garbage Codex. Necrons came out, and I was like, oh, there's 3 cool things in this. The end. I couldn't say anything else about it. People have been able to take those 3 cool things and win some small GTs and do decently well. There's a dude, Eula Sanders, who will tell you immediately when you first meet him that he went 5-0 at LVO before he took his first loss, because that's who he is. But he they had a single list that did well against very specific army builds. So as long as you only played against them, you would win. But if you went up against Eldar, you just lost. So
a friend of the show, Dick Van der Hoosen, or as I like to call him, my friend Dick. Yeah, he also is doing fairly
Dick's
well
awesome.
over. Yeah, he's great dude. Over at the Alliance Open, was doing pretty decent with the Necrons. Him and Nick are long Necron buddies for life. So it's cool hearing them talk. I'm very excited for Nick and the Necrons for Nick and Dick and all those other guys that I know. But they it's one of those books which is interesting, and maybe this will lead us on to Harlequins in a bit, but their book has a mechanic that doesn't work in the game. It effectively just isn't an element that works, so you have to look somewhere else. So it's kind of you read it and you think, right, I'm going to re-energize these units back, and you're like, no, they will all be dead, as will the thing that does it, and everything else on the board. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, GW did this really cool thing where they made everything kill everything so fast. And then they gave Necrons this ability where they're like, yeah, if you don't die, you just bring everything back. But you can just sneeze at a model. Sorry, in coronavirus times that will work. You can just look at a model the wrong way and it just dies. There's rules in the book for it. You blow hard enough on the candle and they go out. And it was only recently that they started bringing up defensive strategies, and Necrons didn't get them.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the advent of 8th edition defense is an innovation that was post Necron's Codex.
Yeah. I mean,
so
Tau have it.
Maybe we'll see. Well, yeah, Tau have it, but probably by accident.
No, 100%. They did not understand how a shield drone works, actually. When they made it, they were
that's clear by the fact that it's been FAQ'd and errated 10 times.
Yeah,
but
they'll toss 5 wounds in a game onto these suckers, and then
max
45 wounds later, people go, oh, well, maybe.
Well, how many shield drones do you think people have? 3 or 4?
Yeah. We've only put them in literally every package we could. We're like,
Please, could you do the English voice again for just all rules right in?
I do. That's been my bit the whole time.
Let's do it again.
This is a recurring bit.
3 or 4 of these bloody shield drones.
No, shield drones has been bad this whole time, so no one's ever built any. It's too hard to mix them around and recut all the models. No one will ever use shield drones.
I feel like I am in Nottingham right now.
This is it, man. This is Nottingham Cam.
Yeah.
I had. That's why my camera turned off. I was bound by my NDA. I had to turn it off for a sec.
I believe you.
So the Silent King. Now, rumors are that he's going to be they will be the size of Nagash, potentially.
I think that's just Necron nerd boners hoping that that's the case.
Okay, well that's what that's the strong. I'm giving this a Rob Strong at 7 out of 10 rumor.
Rob, look, only one of us lives in Nottingham. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's not me. Let's be honest.
I just want to say I don't know the guy's name, but back in November, so 18 years ago, at least it feels that way.
Yep.
Some dude went on the Daka forums, so obviously disconnected with how society works,
right.
And said, guys, when Necrons get their next update, they're getting a Luminar Xeris and they're getting the Silent King. And literally everyone was like, who the fuck are you? Why are you still using Daka Daka? He was right. So whoever you are, man, I'm so sorry. Everyone thought you were a moron for still using Daka Daka. A1.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive, Pete.
You nailed it. Nailed it.
Well, there was. I mean, I remember leading up to 8th edition. Again, same timeline. It was like November. Maybe GW sends out something at the end of the calendar year. Who knows? But and they were like, Primaris are coming, or Big Marines are coming. They're going to move the thing forward. Cadia explodes. There's all this stuff. And he was just bang on. So whoever that is, there's like a warehouse employee at Games Workshop, or it's just another part of their marketing department. And they were like, right, what's the most popular gaming website these days?
No,
I think it's Daka.
There isn't anyone whose job that is officially, but I would say that there's a man who it could be. Big shout out to my man Eddie Eccles. Eddie's a really nice fella, but I describe him as the I flat out describe him as the Malcador of GW. He just does all the jobs, and he's always there. And I'm always like, Eddie, are you secretly running like a long game on the whole company? Like, because he works for people, but he's always doing every job, and then sometimes they're like, be the face of the company. He's like, yeah, no problem, I'll do a 42,000 Twitch stream, He's like, cool, done that, and you're like, but are you running the company, and we don't know that you're running the company, or are you not? Honestly,
he just
does what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm like, do you secretly do forum posts? Are you are you the potato can man? I just don't know. Like,
listen. So back when forums were actually used, I used to use them as well. And I remember there's this dude, his ID, I remember it to this day, was Hastings 721.
Oh heck
That guy. He had to work for GW because he would post literally everything that was coming. And that was in the days when I don't even think GW knew what was being released. They had that famous calendar on a wall that they would just mark shit in and then erase it later because they're like, oh, we didn't want to do that. That's where the whole Fishman meme came from. But yeah, I remember the dude once leaked an entire year's worth of releases, and someone from GW had to contact him and be like, whoever you are, don't do that, please. Please stop this.
We don't have email in the building. So we know it's not us. So whoever you are,
please
stop.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we don't know how you're communicating this. We don't know how we're talking to you right now. But
what kind of magic is this? Yeah. Well, so Necron's getting an update.
That sounds like. Does anyone remember the website portent.net?
No.
It was when I was when I was it was one of the first websites I ever went to. And it was like that. Oh yeah, someone knows Portent.
Viking.
Yeah, and it used to have the most amazing rumors page, and it would have pictures of stuff. And anyway, but that's potentially.
Is it still exist?
No, I don't think so.
Portent. What?
Viking 69.
He knows his shit.
Good one. What happened to Portent.net? Anyone know?
I'm going to go find out. .net. I'm going to go see if it exists.
Totally
still.
a porn site now. Dickbills.com.
Our sister site.
Yep.
There we go. No, it's not there. It doesn't exist. I'm so sorry.
Maybe I should bring it back.
Maybe you should be the new rumor site.
Me and Viking 69 can get Portent.net going. Because the kids these days, what they want is another forums website.
They do.
That's all they want. That's all they want. Are you guys up on TikTok yet? Doing your TikTok 40K challenges?
I saw Ben Bonner doing some, and then I was like, I can't follow that man's lead.
Richard Siegler actually does all.
B-Bone is on TikTok.
Yeah, and Richard Siegler does all of his tactic videos on it. All of them.
Really?
I
can't.
It's super
one of
weird.
those things makes sense because it's a young person. The other one, I'm befuddled.
Oh, B-Bone's down with the kids. He knows what's going on.
B-Bone knows what's going on. He also wears a mustache.
He wears a mustache. He dances to "Yummy" by Justin Bieber on TikTok, and I can't do it. Can't do it.
The bone. Well, he's
So-
always working during the show, so he never watches. So
No,
we can
that's
talk
why
whatever
I
smack
can
we want.
say whatever I want.
Yeah. And I
Even if he did watch, Nick Rose is watching, and I hate him.
Dick Rose. The only reason he's watching is because he doesn't sleep.
It's true.
He just sits quietly for a little while.
And Nick, I don't hate you. Don't worry.
does
I'm
he?
terrified of you.
He's lying.
Absolutely terrified.
Why? What's Nick done?
Well, here's the thing. I go to events sometimes, and I don't want to be in the same parking lot as Nick if he's mad at me. So.
Why would he be mad at you though? Like
Because I just said I hated him. I started this just now. Were you here? Have you been here this whole time?
Thankfully, there's a long time before you could be in a car park together.
It's true.
Yeah, so that should be safe. So
I mean,
Nick,
unless you're in the car park with Nick Rose, it's very easy to socially distance.
It's true. Okay, let's get back on the Warhammer topic.
well,
What?
we were close. We talked
We were
Necrons,
so
and we don't know
close.
anything, but we do know that as well as the other cool news that we've seen is Harlequins are going to be getting a update in White Dwarf. So,
Yes,
and it's good.
and it's
Whoa.
it's
Did you have the
stupidly
segue plan? Because there's actually a picture of a Harlequin on the screen.
just here, I planned it. I thought we might bring it up at least.
I need a way to remember why we're talking today. Okay, I'm just going to put a picture of a Harlequin on the screen. Maybe one of those idiots will notice it and talk about it.
And we'll grab it. I mean, we don't have to talk about it. They're one of my favorite factions.
No,
But
we
you want to
should
talk.
because.
It's
Sorry,
good.
sorry. I'm
It's all
excited.
right, guys. I've told enough anecdotes. You can do whatever you want.
So, somehow GW released 2 Psychic Awakening updates in White Dwarves. One of them was a lazy piece of garbage, and the other one is possibly the best Psychic Awakening release. I don't know how they did that.
It's easy. You have one guy working on one of them and one guy working on the other, and then you have zero quality control. Like it's just the easiest. It's the easiest process. You're a
Yeah.
goober. You're
And
really talented.
You give them both the same deadline and no internal email, and boom, that's an apple.
So that would be my guess anyway.
Yeah.
But what, do you know? Can you highlight level describe the changes for us, or
Sure.
how were Harlequins faring before any updates?
So Harlequins as a mono faction just don't see the table because they don't have anything good enough. They're like half a codex. There's been a few units that have seen consistent competitive play, like Solitaire, because the Solitaire is just absolutely bananas. And generally when you see Skyweavers, the jet bikes, those are like the 2 things you'll see pretty consistently in Eldar soup or multi-faction lists. Occasionally you'll see Death Jesters, occasionally see Shadow Weavers, Troop Masters, but you don't see common troops on the table. You don't see vehicles. They're very bad. They see next to zero play. This, I don't know if this changes that 100% because Harlequins are super CP intensive to do what you want them to do, but what they gave them is absolutely batshit insane on some levels. I am terrified for seeing what Sean Naden does on the table with this stuff. The fact that one of the stratagems is instead of consolidating, you just move.
Oh, really?
And it can be used on any Harlequin unit is so crazy. Because
it's weird. That didn't go wrong the last time they gave Eldar a rule like that.
No, and so now, and here's the thing: the way it's worded, it lasts the whole phase. So you can pop it at the beginning of the phase. And here's the crazy thing you can do if you wanted to. And this is a lot of CP, so this is why you're probably not going to see it a ton. But you can take Frozen Star, Skyweaver, jet bikes. You can move them 16. You can charge something. Okay, so you still with me, Val?
Yep.
You move 16 inches.
We've got 2 steps so far. The
you
third one's
charge
going to be a
something.
leap.
You pop the 2 CP. Okay.
You lost me.
You pop the 2 CP. So now after you fight, you consolidate. Okay. But instead of consolidating, you move another 16 inches. So now
But
you've
is it a
moved.
move, or is it because like you wouldn't be able to get within an inch of something if it's
It's a move. So you move another 16 inches. You have a fight again strat as Frozen Stars. So you declare, I'm going to fight again because it doesn't require a target, unlike the new Space Marine ones, to be within an inch. You can then pile into something. You don't have to attack it. Like you could do the old Gene Stealer cult trick.
Yeah.
Or you can if you did manage to declare a charge on something. And then you consolidate again for another 16 inches. So you've moved 48 inches this turn. And then
I see what you did there.
And then you just touch everything on your opponent. If your opponent's playing a gun line, you've literally touched all of their models with your guys.
You know what? I think it's okay because in like 4 or 5 months tops, they'll probably FAQ it.
Well, but the thing about it is like I think Pete's right that there's obviously very unique cases of things that could be done with that. But what I really like about what they did with the update, because what you're able to do is replace kind of the aura buff that you can give the main characters. So your Death Jester. And,
but what about the reroll ones, Rob? I mean, these guys got the Cadillac reroll 1. They got reroll 1s to wound.
They have, but now they've got some really awesome other abilities. So you can basically for free once change one of their special abilities to something else, or for a CP give them additional ability, or like pick one on one, and then pick one on another, if that makes sense. So they're these unique roles, but it's honestly a really great design way of taking a group of models which don't have. Like it's kind of like if they just made like a Shadow Seer special character, but there's more utility than that. You go, okay, so you've got 3 types of Shadow Seer now. You've got 3 types of Death Jester now, and it's like, okay, that's actually really really good because I can build those around more. And I wish we saw more cases of that in the codexes that don't have a lot of like. Characters. Maybe Harlequins are a bit of a fringe case. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that with a custodian captain or something.
Yes.
But it's
yes.
But it's a cool piece of design. Like they genuinely deserve like a pat on the back for like doing some clever shit in their own game design space. Like, and it's wicked. I'm super pumped for it. Yeah.
Yes, it's really great. The only issue is going to be, and I've seen people already mentioning it, is they didn't get any way to help their CP. So everything they do is super CP intensive. They didn't get anything to solve that. But like you said, like 90% of these rules are batshit awesome. I love them.
Is any of this dependent on being monofaction though?
No, nothing.
So then they've got something they can easily solve their CP problem.
No, they can't. The main problem with Eldar is that all of their troop units are not good right now, just because they die so easily. So they give up points real quick. So you have to kind of accept that if you want to have CP.
Like Rangers don't even have to be on the board.
No, you're exactly right. But you want at least 13 CP with this list, I think, minimum. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Dude, all that's going to happen is they're going to lean it out and distill it to the absolute most essential elements of it, and then that's what gets into your one Harlequin detachment. If it's not dependent on monofaction,
that's
what's just going to run one detachment of it, and the other 2 will be, battalions, and Bob's your uncle. I've said that twice now.
They have had some cool stuff. You can run a 1 max unit of troops, I think, from a competitive standpoint, and be very good now. They got a really cool stratagem where if anyone falls back from you, you can move 6 inches as soon as they do it. So that will be interesting. The Death Jester, the pivotal roles that Rob was talking about, there's one that lets them ignore Overwatch if they shoot a model.
So good. And
reduces their movement by 2 inches. Yep. So that's awesome. There's some really good stuff. They're really, really cool things.
Now, Rob, if I recall, Rob, at the beginning of 2019, Harlequins were going to be the faction you totally only played that year.
Yes.
So you probably have a bunch of half-painted Harlequins on your shelf.
I have a whole bunch of fully painted Harlequins actually on my shelf. And I do like the concept of not fully painted, not fully painted. But
so
I do
half-painted.
like Yeah, half painted. That'll do. And I would like, because the reason I wanted to, because they had some unique. I know you're on the timer. We'll get it sorted.
No, my wrist started actually having an alarm. It looked like I was doing this while you were talking. That was not what I meant.
Okay. But they've got a fairly unique design mechanics in their army, which I really, really like. And the Solitaire is such a unique piece in the game. Like, it's a shame that Harlequins or, like, Solitaires do something fairly unique, which your opponent couldn't do much about. The problem is I picked up Harlequins, then they FAQ'd that you couldn't fly over units, and so the Solitaire became pointless. You couldn't flip belt through units and do stuff. But there's some even greater ways now to do. I always liked Suit of Hidden Knife Solitaire, and make them kill themselves, which is super fun. So there's ways to make that happen. I don't think some of these updates have addressed the core problem that the troops have, in that they are toughness 3 and very expensive with a 4-up invulnerable save. And as fast as they are, they're not fast enough. But they are, like, they've got, you can still do that super, like, jet bike and character heavy detachments, and they bring some unique milkshake to the yard. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Triple C thick milkshake.
Yeah, super thick. Dairy Queen milkshake.
Mm-hmm. Careful.
Yeah.
I do believe they'll have to errata the Death Jester relic, the new one. That one is worded weird, and I'm not sure they want it to do what it's going to do. That's a concern of mine. Maybe they did. Part of it is the way the new Death Jester gun has the way it's worded. It's almost a copy paste from the regular one, other than they put an "and" in a certain place that they didn't in the old rules. So the way it sounds is, for every model that the Death Jester kills, a unit takes -2 to leadership, instead of, if they kill a model, it's -2 for, like, the unit. So you can potentially put a unit at, like, -8 leadership with a good shot from a single Death Jester gun. Gotcha. And that's pretty crazy if it's true. Still very niche. It's not something you're going to do every game, but it's going to be something where against certain armies, you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to take this relic, and you're going to have a real shit day as I take one shot and that unit's -8 leadership. So,
yeah, it's super fun. Like, it's, I think the thing, without going into too much of the detail, is the great thing about it is some genuinely competent and exciting design work in a way to, how do we take a small model-based faction and make it more interesting and more playable, as opposed to just being like, you've all now got a 2-up invulnerable save. Like, they didn't just give them a giant stack, they gave them flavor and utility. And that's actually, like, for the future of 40k, is a very exciting design space, because, like, if they've got someone who's talented enough to do that, then we might see that in more. Might see that in the Necron book. Might see that in Custodes update.
So Rob,
go.
Rob, you need to talk to these people. I know that you have a strong voice, and you have to be like, whoever wrote the Death Watch book or the Death Watch White Dwarf rules, you're a garbage human being, and I hate you. Person who wrote Harlequins, you are now the king of GW. Continue. And then just drop your mic. Just drop. I don't want to drop my mic, and leave. The end.
That is the premise of the show, and I don't think he's getting through.
Like, there are very specific people who are terrible at their jobs. Get them out of there. Harlequin man.
The problem
continue.
The problem is I don't know if they know how to quantify the stuff that's done well as much as they don't know how to quantify the stuff that's done unwell. Looking at you, shield drones. Oh, what? They've got 4 shield drones? What
They're
the hell?
Italian now? Hey, Giuseppe, can we get the more shielded drones in your book?
I love it.
Oh, this has been a lot of
tell them to
talk.
watch this podcast and see how excited I get about certain rules, and then back it up and be like, see how sad he was about these ones. This is your line. This is what you use.
No other human can survive that kind of an emotional roller coaster.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Rollercoaster.
Yeah, it's the same for me, Pete. Like, when rules are done really well, or like they create something clever. For me, it's like when someone paints models particularly well. I'm not someone like, oh, he's got. Sometimes I see a great army and I'm like, that looks great. But when they do stuff like this, you think, yeah, you're really firing on all cylinders now, and it makes me excited for the future of 40k. Like, the marine stuff, especially, has been like oppressive. It's not been particularly innovative, I wouldn't say. I don't know if any of you think that. Like, it's been like...
Au contraire, mon frère. I think that those books were awesome and delicious and tasty. They needed more work. That was it. But I think they went some bold directions with them. They gave them tons of rules. The armies are dynamic. There's dozens of builds. Like, you can go so far with the Marine stuff. So I will poop all over your statement there, sir. They just needed more work. That was it. To bring them into some form of grip with reality.
I apologize.
Yeah, they needed someone to rein it in. It was cool ideas. They didn't. No one reined it in. They were like, the end. They're gonna dominate. Everyone should have known.
And from my understanding is that feedback was given, and for whatever reason they proceeded as it was, and that's fine. They made those choices, and over time they've pulled it back, and the game didn't die like we thought it would, although the tournament scene was hurting a little bit. But I think they reacted at least fast enough to stop Marines from ruining everything.
Yeah, they just should have known in advance. But anyway,
yeah.
Also, one of the things about these rules being written, Pete, is Tristan in the chat is saying, what if it's actually the same person, but it's more he had his morning codex and his afternoon codex, like after and he's just flipping between, and he's just like, I feel a bit lethargic in the morning, but afternoons where I really dig it and I pump in.
Listen, there are studies on this, okay, that say like it's just get the guy to only work from like noon until 3. The end. Come
1
on.
o'clock. He's got to watch the show first so he gets the feedback.
Oh, it's true. It's true.
He's got to tune into the bosses. That's right. He didn't know that we're actually corporate, but we'll let him in on that in the future.
That's right. It's the board of directors here. But no, actually, I think even what Rob just said kind of jokingly, and again, they've because of the internet and things like DACA, they no longer put names on these codexes. But I think like the Imperial Guard Codex shares an author with some of the worst codexes that came out in that early run. I'm pretty sure. And there's just I think that the like disparity in quality. Again, I think a lot of it just has to do with the tightness of deadlines, how much content that studio pushes out, and how quickly. And I think it's just a quality control thing, which hopefully one day maybe they invest in, and as they keep realizing that games drives model sales and sales in general, they'll continue to get better, because honestly, as much as we rag, they're way better than they've been in a long time. So
agreed. Also, there's a parallel to the Age of Sigmar battle tomes, because there's, as far as I know, still there are 2 rules writers for the Age of Sigmar battle tomes, and the difference is night and day. One of them's like, do you know what might be really strong? I might give this unit reroll 1s to hit, and then the other guy's like, I'm going to give these guys 2 attack, like they can attack twice in the combat phase, and they have 1 billion attacks. Like, and it's like, you're like, what? Like, what? The other day I was fighting skinks. That's skinks, tiny skinks with a 4-up armor save, re-rolling 1s. Yeah, and I was like, what fucking world am I? 40 of them, not some. 40. You're like, that's quite good. Stop this. Whereas I then was fighting a dwarf, and he's like, excuse me, I've got a 5-up rerollable armor save. It's like, what? This sucks. But anyway, so it seems to be a genuine, like, I would say it's more on this quality control dudes as opposed to it is on the authors, because the quality control guys, just like when Pete receives the rules, they should just send them to Pete, and Pete's reaction he just read it, and he should just react with only a green face or a red face. Those are the 2 reacts that they get.
I should do like a Twitch stream actually for them, for everybody, where I don't read any of the rules out loud. I just like flip through the codex, and based on my reactions, they should know what to do. That should be it.
I think the problem is the playtesting process is completely opaque. So like we don't actually know how it works, how much of it's taken on, what's identified. I mean, they could avoid a lot of and also just like I think because of their release schedule and how far ahead they work, because of they're married to paper, so their development process is anywhere between 1 year and 6 months ahead of where we are right now. So like they are limited by they can't really beta test things on a broad level, because that would spoil how they want to roll things out, and they think that would be bad for their business model. I don't know if it would or not. So they got these sort of they have these constraints that are built into sort of how their process works. And I also don't know. Like I theorized for a long time that the playtesters playtested after things went gold. So like once things were actually sent, they got the first like look at it while it was basically being printed and shipped, and then that's why you got the errata after you got it. I don't know if that's true. I have literally no idea. But it just feels like, and also we also never know what they accept as feedback, because like we don't know what the playtesters actually see and what they miss. Like sometimes you'll hear Reese grumble about something and like, oh, we just missed it. He could be falling on the sword. Who knows? Like it's hard to tell because of how opaque it is. And so hopefully, they get better at either taking or getting the feedback in the first place, because the internet spots this stuff immediately. So that means that, like, and although the playtesters a lot of them are like not necessarily top tier players, they are guys who play this game a lot, and they are probably seeing these things immediately too. So I don't know where the breakdown is that lets stuff go.
Well, Reese has said a few times, a couple like if you piece it all together, you can get a decent idea, I think, of like of the show. One of the things he said is like they get the material in the same kind of timeline as it gets released. So in particular, say the last 6 months, where it's been like every 2 weeks we've had a new release, that means that playtesters had 2 weeks at tops to playtest what they're getting, and these guys all have second jobs that are actual jobs they're getting paid to do. So I don't put too much on the playtesters. They do their best, and then there's politics involved, et cetera, I'm quite sure. But like the chat was saying, like playtesting is so important, and I don't think we're there yet. Someone mentioned beta rules. We did that with Sisters of Battle, and it worked out so well. If you look at the beta Sisters of Battle rules they released in that chapter approved and how stupidly bad they were, and then you compare it to what actually got released, which was basically nothing other than like nothing got taken from the beta rules. They're like, yeah, we'll just scrap the whole thing because it's garbage. Like they're so good. Sisters of Battle became so good. And I have to hope part of that is because they let everybody see what they were planning and say, like, we don't like it. Yeah. Do again, do better. And they did. They did way better.
I think whether or not for me, the Harlequin release is whether or not they whether or not it's super strong or imbalanced as an end result. What I think that they've shown with the Harlequin rule set is some genuine creativity and flexibility. They haven't. For me, it's a fairly new paradigm of rules writing, which they haven't showcased before. They haven't shown the ability to do so. It's almost like someone's gone, like they've whiteboarded it, and someone's gone, "What if we do this other thing that we've never done before?" And then the other guys are like, "Sold." And whether or not that's going to end up in this like, it's too strong, it's not too strong, and I agree with you both. Like, and I've had this conversation millions of times about like playtesting and a bunch of other stuff. Like, they should just pay some people, like, like to cuss them out. Like, that's what robust agencies do, and these aren't that. But I still am excited for the Harlequin rules, because now I'm a little bit like, I don't know what we're gonna get. Like, when we see the Necrons, I'm like, I'm not expecting just some sub-faction updates. We might see some of those like generic characters get some different abilities and really shape stuff up around. Like, with the sub-faction rules not being equal, because they've got the same points cost, they're free. But the sub-faction rules, some are better than others, then you generally tend to take one over the other. But with the ability to change around these abilities, honestly, I'm quite excited. Like, it's the most excited I've been about 40k rules writing in a very long time. So it's I don't know what it's not easy to get me that excited about the rules writing for 40k, as I think it's fairly bland generally. But this is quite hype. So
amazing.
Make of that what you will. I don't know.
Now they just have to fix the lore. The lore in these, like, this Necron Psychic Awakening guaranteed is going to just be like an absolute shit show lore-wise. But I mean, if that Silent King is what you say,
Hey man, the good news is that I'm pretty sure the Psychic Awakening in the timeline is already in the past. So like,
yes, it is.
It's like it's already been retconned as it's being released, so it's fine.
Well, I think we got to the end, Val, like, because you have to go normally at this time, or is that not the case?
Yeah, this is about time where I turn into a pumpkin.
And you're a princess. I've had we've talked quite a bit of 40k today. I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate. try not to do that, but we are apparently
It's an organic experience, Rob. We can't dictate where these things go unless we put a Harlequin picture up on the screen.
That was only if we got to it. I was fine for the first 30 minutes when we were nowhere near. Someone like 20 minutes in was like, "Are you talking about Harlequins?" I was like, "Probably not, bro." Like, so this is.
We covered 42 topics in the first 30 minutes of this show. 42 topics.
Some
of I think we went through 6 in the same sentence.
Right? I told the futon story. There was a lot of we went places, guys.
And we rarely talked about the Bush administration, which is a shame.
Barely.
We touched on HW and Clinton today.
Like this cup from the Bush administration.
Yep. Deep Bush.
That's true. I just want to say to anyone who's listening who's interested in 40k, the 40k show that we've got on Thursday, we will be discussing Harlequins. We'll also be discussing team lists, which is quite fun, like archetypal team lists.
The actual 40k show will be talking
about these losers.
It might be. I don't know. You never know.
Look, Pete and I used to have a really good podcast, okay?
One day. It's one day, long ago.
But soon again, in 1 to 4 years. We'll see. But it's been a pleasure having you both on the show. Thank you very much. And what are you guys got any plans this week? Big plans?
When's that thing we're doing?
Like in June. We're doing a thing in June.
Okay.
So
June?
Not soon. I've got podcast stuff probably coming in the next week. I have to re-sign up with Stephen Box about something, I guess, because I was supposed to do a show and then my wife got called into work. It's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know, nothing. I'm just living my life, trying not to get sick and fighting polar bears.
Can I say one thing about Stephen Box? Seems like a super nice guy. Yeah, super nice guy, really passionate. I'm a big fan. But every time I see a video where his head is at a 45-degree angle, yeah, I just.
That's the MySpace magic, Rob. That's the MySpace magic.
I can't.
Like,
is it just because of his tilt, or is it like the thing on tilt?
No, he tilts. He's like sideways. Yeah, and like he makes great videos, and he's super passionate, big fan. No negatives, just.
I wonder if he's ever gotten that feedback. You know, if he has been told that, like he would address it immediately. He would just he'd frame correct it in post.
On all of the videos he's ever done.
The A-type of A-type personalities. He's also living on the internet during this time. I don't know if his streak has rivaled yours, Rob, but he's out there competing for it.
He's a few days behind, unfortunately. Yeah.
Screw him then. Screw him.
And that's the only reason why Rob cannot stop this madness.
Again, really nice guy, super talented, really passionate, big fan. No negatives being said here.
But he'll never effing catch Rob. Because Rob is not going to stop.
I'll do it on my deathbed.
Rob
Steve,
never stops running. Rob and Tom Layton, they never stop running.
No,
keep running, keep running. Black Eyed Peas reference. Bush administration.
Oh yeah.
Right, I'm just going. I won't ask. Thank you, everyone who's listened live. Thank you to everyone on the podcast. Please stay hydrated. Thank you to everyone on the Small Gamer Patreon. You guys are great.
Let's. Oh no, I've done the wrong voice. Let's take it out of here. Let's get going. You've got to leave the building.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. You guys are great. See you soon.